what they actually called it in here, let's see. Truss bearing, there you go, 111. So the roof trusses are gonna bear right there. Okay. Now I have a level to tie the roof to. If you don't have that level, you could tie it to a different one, but this is the one you would want to tie it to. All right, so I'm gonna go down to my first floor plan, and I'm gonna go up to roof. And the first thing I'm gonna do when I click roof is just make a very simple roof off to the side, just a flat roof over here. And I'm gonna make sure there's no pitch on that. So I'm gonna select all of these lines and turn off the slope. Okay, so I just have a generic roof. This is what I want to turn into this. Okay, so let's do edit type. Let's do duplicate. And why don't we just call this, this is the roof. You can just call it roof, you can call it, let's just call it roof. Dental office. Okay. So let's edit the layers of this. So I'm just gonna, I'm in my edit type, now I'm gonna click edit under structure. So just like a wall, just like a floor, yes?
Is this the same roof as last time?
It is the same roof, I'm just doing it one more time. You might have this already in your file, but I wanna do it one more time, make sure we have it. So, the majority of the roof is 2 feet thick, and it's the wood trussing. So I'm just gonna put the 2 feet here, and I'm gonna search for wood truss. Let's see if it's, I'm just gonna search truss. I am gonna use wood joist rafter. If you have a truss one, just use that. Okay, and now I'm gonna click the number 1 and insert a layer above. And I'm gonna do 3/4 inch plywood would be fine. And I'm gonna call that a substrate layer. And let's change this to plywood. There might even be a tongue and groove. Okay, plywood sheathing. And then we have insert another layer, and I'll change this one to thermal layer, and I'm just gonna put rigid insulation. And I will do 5 inches of that. And then finally, we're gonna do a finish 1 layer. And I'm just gonna search membrane. Try again. EPDM membrane is fine for this. And I'm gonna put this at 0.06 inches. Okay, so this is, I don't know, maybe you've seen these on like Instagram and stuff, them putting on these membranes on roofs. Do like one big move. It's kind of cool. Okay, so if you remember, our roof goes from 2 feet and it gets thicker as it goes on. Now, if we want the truss layer to get thicker, we want to make sure variable is checked under the truss layer. If that's not checked, your roof is just going to go like pitch up, which is not what you want. We want the bottom to stay flat. So I'm going to click variable right there. All right, and I'm going to hit OK. Hit OK again. Okay, we have our roof type. All right, now here's what we're going to do to draw the roof and get the pitches correct. I'm going to sketch that. Okay, so what you wanna do is we're gonna start a new roof. And I'm gonna make a rectangle that's even with this wall and even with this wall. I'm gonna go like that. I'm not gonna worry about the stair because we're not gonna have same roof over the stair. This is the roof for, well, actually, let me take that back. Let's double check our roof plan. Here. Alright, let's look at that roof plan real quick. And I'll go back to my drawing. Okay, I take it back. You can see this is the stair, correct? Here's the elevator. So this is the same roof. This is the same roof over there. So what we'll use then is this. We'll use the stair edge over here. And we'll use the stair edge over here. So I'm gonna go the stair like that. So my roof is gonna be huge. I'm gonna grab that line, and I'm gonna grab this one right here. So I'm gonna make one big rectangle covering the whole roof, even outside of it. So let's do that first. I'm gonna put this view just on course. That will help so I don't have to see all those lines in there. All right, so I'm gonna go to roof, and I am gonna grab a rectangle, and I'm just gonna do this. Okay, and then I'll align it where I need to, but I'm gonna make sure it's flat. So I'm gonna go and turn off the boundary lines, or the slope lines. And then I'm gonna align it to the outermost edge on each side. In fact, you could go to the inside of the wall. I think that would be a good move. Go to the inside edge of the wall, not the outside edge. That'll get us one step further. All right. Okay, so before I hit OK, this is what I have, something like that. So that's not helpful. Let me get rid of that. I'll bring this back down now. Something like that. This is a cool tool. It's kind of similar to how we're going to do terrain as well next semester. But okay, so I've got my rectangle. It looks like I don't have it on the correct type yet, but that's fine. Maybe I could switch it right here. Roof dental office, there we go. And then I'll just hit the green check. Okay. So here is my roof. Now one thing I know right off the bat is that this roof is tied to the first floor. That's not what I want. I want to tie it to trussing level that I added. If you remember from the south elevation, this was the level I added, truss bearing. So I am gonna, my roof is selected here, I'm just gonna move it up to truss bearing. All right, let's look in 3D and see what this looks like. The answer should be awful, right? I mean, this is sort of what it looks like right now, which is wrong. Yep. All right, what does that say? Would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? Say don't attach for this. Let's get it in place. What that's asking you is like, you have all those interior walls in here. It's saying, let's say those interior walls went to the top of that roof. It's saying you want them to go to here. Now, if you said yes there, what might have happened is some of your exterior walls might have moved down. It's just a mess. So we can always change that later. Okay, so we've got this giant roof on here. But now we need to get into pitch. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna, so this is my roof. We're gonna put a seam right here. And we're gonna figure out about how far this is. we're gonna grab this edge and move it up 1/4 inch per 1 foot. So if this is like, 50 feet, we're gonna do a 1/4 inch times 50 feet, it's not, but, and that's how high we're gonna put that top edge, so it's 1/4 inch per foot slope. Same with this side. Okay, so then we're gonna have something shaped like this in section. With me so far? And then we're gonna give it a haircut and trim off the edges, okay? But it's a little not intuitive how you give it the haircut. So, okay, so we have this. Why don't we do this? Let's grab your roof and then go to the eyeglasses down below. And let's isolate this element so we can just look at this one thing. Okay. So here are the new tools for like roof. So I'm gonna click on my roof now that it's isolated. And look at the top, it says modify sub-elements. And it has all these other ones over here. Add point, add split line. We wanna add that split line. So I'm gonna grab that and I'm gonna snap, do your best to snap to the midpoint on the short edge and off to the midpoint on the other short edge. Just gonna hit enter. You have created the roof on the lowest level. That's not what I want. Let me make sure that's on truss bearing.
How did you
The glasses at the bottom of the screen.
You wanna do this here. So I'm gonna.
Thank you.
Oh,
Any question? It's like you.
you guys got it?
Thank you, Tyler.
Hold on here. Let's do. I hit enter and I went into another roof, but all I did. Are we good? Did we get this view?
Yeah.
All right. So I did add split line and then I go midpoint to midpoint. So I've got this split on it now. I'm gonna go to the very top view here and I'm just gonna measure. Someone's gonna have to pull out a calculator. I'm gonna measure how far this is. This says 36'7", blah, blah, blah. Let's call it 37 feet. All right, what's 37 feet times 1/4 inch? All right, give it a chance. 37 times 0.25. Okay, now this says 9 1/4. So if I want to make sure I have a 1/4 inch per foot, I have to bring the sides up at least 9 1/4. Let's just start there. All right, so what I'm going to do is grab our roof, do modify sub-elements. I'm going to grab this corner over here, click it once, and now I have to add, I wish there was an easier way, but I have to add 9 1/4 inches to this stupid number. So let's call this 113.6 plus 9 is what? 113.6 plus 9 inches would be 6, that would be 114.3. Right? You did 9 feet.
Oh, yeah.
9 inches. Yep.
If our number is 112, is that not 500?
No, just leave it because it's using yours, so maybe we can figure out why that is, but. So I'm just gonna put in here 114. God, you guys made me do all that. 114.3 1/4. 114.3.25. This part is not an exact science. Okay, we need to get that pitch is what we're trying to do. All right, so now I'm gonna go to this one and do the same. 114.3.25. And I'm going to all corners here, not the middle though. I don't want that there. All right. Okay, you can see how it's essentially a flat roof, right? There's a little bit of a pitch there, which is all it needs. just so you're aware, on our roof plan here, remember what I called these guys last time? They do look like diamonds, which would make more sense for the name. Remember where they are? Crickets. Not as in I'm boring you guys, but these are called crickets. So the water drains this way, hits this pitch, and either goes to that drain or that drain. We're not worried about the crickets for this right now, so we just want to get the primary pitch. Okay, so that looks good. We still have to handle this part, but I'm not gonna concern myself there too much yet. All right. Okay, so here is my roof. Let's, I'm gonna grab the eyeglasses and do reset so I can see it. All right. Now looking at this, assuming that my exterior walls are correct, you see, like, this is essentially the top of the wall right here. So I might just change that number later just to be the top of the wall. Okay, but this looks good. Now we gotta give it the haircut. Okay, so let's go to, I'm gonna go to the roof plan so I can see it. Yeah, it's right here. And maybe that's not a good view. Let's do, I'm gonna do 3D view top. Let's try this and then we'll see. I'm also gonna put it on, yeah, maybe wireframe for right now. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, so the tool we need to do is under architecture, and what we want to do is use these guys over here. It says opening. There's a vertical one. I'm going to use that right there. So what I'm going to do is just chop off this roof, maybe one side at a time. I could maybe do more than that, but here, I'm going to click on this vertical. And then it says select a floor or roof, so I'm going to select my roof. And now I get my drawing tools here, and here's what I am going to do. I'm going to, okay, so I need it to cut around this wall. Get in here. Well, you can also do it poorly, like I always suggest. I'm just going to do something like this. That, and then I'm going to align it to the inside edge of this wall. Which is sort of hard to find right now. Maybe I'll do this one. Okay, I've just made this corner here cut out, so I'm just going to hit the green check and make sure I get what I'm expecting. So let's go back to this view, and I'm just going to put it on shaded, and you can see that I've cut off this edge here. Now I'm going to do it again and cut off this side and kind of work my way around. Does that make sense what we're doing? You would think you could go in and just edit the footprint. No. Thank you, brother. So I'll do this side. I'm going to do this edge on the front here. All right, so go to the top. Go to architecture, opening, vertical, select my roof, and I'm gonna have to put it on like wireframe so I can see. And now I'm just gonna start at the corner here. See how I just want that outermost wall. That's what I'm sort of cutting against here. Now we got these crazy bump outs. Now these bump outs are going to go something like this. So that I can just use my align tool, bring it back here. kind of making a subtraction, you are making a subtraction element. Right, what is this wall? This wall looks backwards. Okay. Let's hit that green check, see what we get. Okay, so this is sorta how it's supposed to look. Kinda see how I'm doing this here? Just giving it the haircut. The thing you don't wanna do is go into the roof and say edit boundary and change it to your building. You wanna make this one big roof as a rectangle, and then we have to use these openings to cut off the edges. So there's more I need to cut here, but I'm just gonna go to the first floor plan and take a look at a section with our roof in it and see what we have. So this is sorta what I got going on so far. There's our pitch. You know, maybe we didn't need to come up 9 1/4. Maybe I wanna go back to where I was and just like put it up 8 inches or 9 inches. I wanna try to approach a 1/4, but I can't go any higher than the walls on the side. So that's sort of my limit. So you could measure top of the wall to your truss bearing. That'd be one way to figure out what that height is, so that your roof could live there. In fact, also going in 3D like this might be helpful too. If I go to architecture and then vertical, grab my roof, right, and I know I need to cut around these walls, so I'm just gonna put a shape over here, and I could use my align tool like this. So maybe this is easier to visualize what you need to cut off. There you go, let's see what that does. Okay, you can just there, so I cut that front off, so you can make little cuts as you need to. I think the big watch out is this is getting too high over here, so I probably wanna check that height first before I set that initial pitch. Might be a good way to do it. So I had 37 feet and we came up with 9 1/4. Maybe you just raise it 8 inches on either side. Let's see if we can. Oh, that's so cool actually, because it still gives you the points. So even though I gave this roof a haircut, I still have the 4 corner points available to me to change, which is very nice. Confusing or not, or totally, or yes? Where are you guys?
How did you do the openings again?
The opening is actually just under that word. If you go to architecture and then opening. It's sort of a tool, architecture opening, right here. It's a tool to make openings. There you go. So it's sort of like editing profiles for walls. It just does things a little more automatically. I don't know. That's what it's called. Alright, so I'm gonna grab my whole roof and do modify sub elements, and I think I'm just gonna put my heights instead of at 114 3 1/4. Maybe I'll just do 114. that way I know that my wall won't eclipse the. I'm not sure, it gave me a warning there, I just said fine, delete it, really. Okay, there we go. So, okay, so that looks good, and then I'll continue my, my cutting. Let's go architecture, opening vertical. That part, I gotta do it for this little part in the middle. Just want to get this a little further so we can cut out the clear story. So I'm gonna cut that out, and then I'll cut this corner out back here. So I must have cut this one too aggressively over here. It's kind of nice is you can still edit your cutting objects. That looks better. Let's do one more. This might take, you know, a little bit of trial and error to just nail down, but there's that. So here's a slight problem, so I have to make sure that this is at the correct, this wall's at the correct height, which I don't know if it is.